when we're here, we think everybody knows this stuff, and we almost think this is so common. But it isn't really. Only about maybe 5 to 10% of the people even know about this.
Yeah.
Where do you think is a common place to start?
I think part of it is become aware about what can be done and trust that your body wants to be healthy. Prioritize yourself, prioritize your sleep. Make a decision that just because you've done something in a particular way always, be open to the possibility that this isn't the best way to do it. And if it's not working for you, which if you're feeling horrible and sick, clearly it's not working for you, then start by looking into even free resources about how can I nourish my body better so that you can start to reclaim your energy a little bit.
Right.
And once you've reclaimed your energy, now you can start to investigate. But I think a big piece of it is knowing that the only person who's going to be able to make yourself healthy is you.
Welcome to the Brain Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick Porter. Please join us on our mission to better a billion brains. Enjoy the episode and remember to share it with your family and friends.
Hey, BrainTap Nation. I'm here with Nathalie. You've probably seen her on my podcast. I've been on her podcast, but we're here at the Biohacking Conference here in Orlando 2023. Dave Asprey's one of our favorite events. You see us posting about it, and hopefully if you're not here next year, you're going to be here because this is where everyone in the know in the real healthcare is really finding it because they've tested it on themselves, they've done it. And what Nathalie's done over the years is she's one of those investigators that actually goes out and finds out, with her BS meter, if something is really good or not. I remember when we first talked, you go, hey, I don't know about this thing. I need to test it out, and one of the things we know now is that health optimization is no longer on trial. You don't have to go through your medical practitioner. Of course, it's a good idea if you have some real physical problems going wrong, but we're talking about here is, what we learn is called prehab. You don't have to always do rehab. You can get a breakthrough without a breakdown. And so, Nathalie, I don't know what you want to share about that, but we're here to have a conversation about health and well-being, what's going on, what your mission is. We'll talk a little bit about what BrainTap's mission is, my mission, what I've been doing over the last 37 years to get me to where I am now, this overnight success we're having with BrainTap. It took 37 years.
I love that. Well, you are a man on the move. I mean, Patrick, Dr. Porter, we keep crossing paths at all these events, and you're always moving. Actually, this is the longest I've seen you stay in one spot in all the events we've been together. And you are inspiring in that way. Like the pace that you keep has got to be mission driven.
Yep.
Like nobody keeps that kind of pace for a job.
Right.
And I think that's a unifying thing at these events is you keep meeting people on a mission. Like none of us, we don't think about ourselves as having a job. We think of ourselves as having a goal and wanting to achieve something. And generally speaking, we're really looking to make the world a better place or help people to improve their own world and outcomes.
Right. Well, back when I started, we were like aliens coming down from another planet because when you introduce somebody when you land in when we started going to shows with the MC Square, which was the very first light and sound machine, people would walk by, what is that? And then usually it was the second day when they started getting tired and they wanted to reboot their brain, we'd get the line. And then when somebody used it, it's like describing the atmosphere to a fish. They don't really understand it, but you get to experience it. So that's why we have to be here, and luckily now I have a really great team that can do that part of it. Because I used to be on that side. I used to be the guy at the booth, hey, come on, try this out, try this out. And so, I was talking earlier with one of the functional neurologists that actually, he was on the team that gave me a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I said, do you remember when I tried to get into your conference back in 2007 and you told me that was a toy, you weren't going to use it? And I got a chance to ask him, now, why did you give me the Lifetime Achievement Award? He said, well, we realized that you're helping people recover and build a resilient brain. So for me, this is something I did for a hobby. I grew up in my hometown of Battle Creek, Michigan. My dad was a Silva instructor, so he would do seminars. And then he expanded his territory, if you will, to doing it every other weekend. We would go to Grand Rapids, or we'd go to Kalamazoo, or we'd go to one of the bigger cities because Battle Creek was a small town. And so I was setting up chairs, doing it. It's something we did it was something we did. It wasn't my dad's full-time job, but he did make some money off it, but I think we made more money for Jose than we did for my dad. But it was something because it helped our family.
Right.
So I saw that in myself, and people don't realize that. And so I think it's just something we do. And I know that even though I'm a man with a mission, but you're always out there too. I'm seeing you at all these shows, doing all these things and sharing your things on social media. So let's hear a little bit about your mission. What motivated you to get into this space?
I think I'm a knowledge seeker. And I've always been curious about health. I didn't spend a lot of my career, I didn't even spend in the health space. And yet when I finally found my way back to health and went back to school and studied nutrition, and you finish the program and you're like, well, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And then I came across this area of these compounds called peptides and bioregulator peptides they're just these incredible compounds that can really move the needle for people. And so I launched a podcast really with the goal of how do I get people to talk to me who know more about these things than I do? Because I had by then started a community on Facebook, and they were insatiable in their need for knowledge. And whenever you find a novel modality like, let's say, peptides and which are not very well understood, they're not hugely studied in many ways, the people that come into these communities are people who've tried everything. And these are people who are not willing to give up. And if they're feeling so horrible and not willing to give up, then what can I do to help them to find that answer? And it's not that I have the answer. So what's happened with the podcast is I'm out looking for people who may provide, if not the answer, then a piece of the puzzle that can help these people along a little further in their journey. Right.
When we come to these kind of conventions, I love it because, like you said, we get to meet people that a lot of them I only see here or at other biohacking conventions. Because we do a lot of doctors conventions, and even though they're using a lot of similar products, they don't consider themselves biohacking because that's Dave's term. A lot of people. So when you're here, what do you see as this community? Why should somebody next year come to Biohacking 2024?
You know what? I think what it is we're just community, right? I think a lot of us, like I run these women's retreats, and 90% of the time, the women that come to these retreats are women who feel isolated in their communities. They feel isolated in their families or in their friendship groups because nobody understands what they're doing. And what they're looking for is to meet other people who are open in the same way as they are, who are looking for answers and who are willing to look anywhere. So when you come to a place like this, you're going to, number one, meet other people just like you who are looking for answers, who are not taking the status quo lying down. And then you're going to meet all these people who are offering solutions in many different ways. And some of them are better than others, but it's a think tank. It's actually a consumer think tank, if you think about it.
Right. I don't know if I shared with you, and we were in Dallas together just a couple of weeks ago.
When was it?
Right. But I purchased 88 acres in New Bern, North Carolina. And we're calling it Mystical Pines Sanctuary.
Beautiful.
Because we're going to build out, it's 300 yards of riverfront. It's beautiful forest, pine forest. And we have dolphins that swim by about every other day, if not every day.
Wow.
And so we want to build that community. And I'm learning about that. That's not something I've done. I'm not in the hospitality industry, but I want to stop traveling so much and have people come to me because I think you come here, you get an hour with somebody, 20 minutes with somebody, but you've had a chance to actually build out these retreats. So I would love to pick your brain about on my mission. I want to be able to bring in people like yourself and say, hey, there's 40 beds here. Let's fill it up with people. Let's have our biohacking. We call it health optimization typically because a lot of my community doesn't like the word hack, but because they're into medical stuff usually.
That's okay.
But we want to have like our red light bed there. We want to have our PMF. We want to, of course, braintap will be there. We want to have cold plunges. Everything you see here. Because there's a remedy for that. But what do you see is happening at these retreats? And tell us a little bit about your retreats first, and then because I'm very interested in how people build retreats. I've gone to a number of them. Most of them I've gone to are more like yoga retreats because
Yeah.
I wanted to learn how to breathe. And been years since I've been to them, but when I was first learning, I had a lot more time. I used to almost every quarter go to a 5 or 10 day retreat.
Oh, wow.
Just because my dad taught me that you're either learning and growing or you're dying and rotting. So and he made
That's a bit harsh.
Yeah, he made a big deal about continuing education.
Yeah.
He said that's what saved him.
Yeah.
And so I think that most people just don't know.
Yeah.
So tell us about your retreats and what a woman could experience there.
Yeah, I think when my partner and I created the retreat, it was about curating an experience for women that allowed them to actually take elements of an event like this, curate it through a particular lens. So our focus is longevity and resilience, right? And the idea is that to have longevity, you must build resilience into your system. The world is not a perfect place. It's filled with stressors and strains and whatnot. That's not going to stop.
Right.
But can we build, and that's a lot of what BrainTap is about, can we build resilience into the system so that it can handle all those stresses? And so for our retreats, we are able to curate an experience that integrates both the technologies and the supplements and the information about all of these things, targeting a very specific audience, while at the same time allowing them to have 5 days of space and time to connect in nature, to get outside, to do the yoga, to do the beach walks. So it's really finding that balance between doing and not doing, between programmed and experiential. And I certainly, we've done 2 of them, and what's amazing, as a matter of fact, the last retreat we hosted was last November, and I think of the 10 women who were there, 8 of them are here.
Oh, awesome.
At this event.
Yeah.
And some of them had already come to these events, but most of them had not.
Right.
And now they kind of drank the Kool-Aid,
Right.
and they're all in. So
Yeah.
I think it's about creating an experience and creating a community and a container so that it's safe for them and for us to kind of move together and experience something different.
Yeah. Years ago when I was building out my franchise company, which we had 108 locations, I used to tell my franchisees that we're a gateway drug to the self-help industry.
Yeah.
Because they come to us with a problem. We help them realize once they can solve that problem, that's only the beginning. There really is no there. You're not finished. This is just giving you that one little step that says, hey, I'm powerful. I can change my life. I'm not dependent upon somebody else. So with your retreats, are you planning on do you do them in the same place, or do you go around different places?
So far we've only done them in one place. And there's definitely there will become pressure to do them elsewhere. The beauty of the place we're at is it's right on the ocean. It's not in a big place. And we're able to access some incredible resources that are local.
Yeah.
So again, it's finding that balance where we remove people out of their current environment and put them into a new space, which in and of itself helps you to change your state.
Right.
So far, we've only done the one place.
Right.
We're doing them in the Dominican Republic on the Northeast Shore in a tiny little place called Cabarete. But
it's a beautiful place, though.
it's a beautiful
right?
place.
Yes.
It's we're right, like I said, we're right on the beach, and it's a great community. Right.
Awesome. Yeah. So I know you travel a lot because I've seen you at shows. So tell me about your routine. What do you do to keep yourself going so you can show up at these events and be present?
It's about finding the time. It's not finding, actually. It's about creating the space to allow yourself to recharge when you can, right? It's about having the nutrition pretty much dialed in. It's about having tools, right? Whether it's BrainTap or your breath work or whatever the case may be, it's about we have access to all these tools. And for us, it's really about how do we integrate them, weave them into our day-to-day so that we're not making a decision to do something. It's just what we do. And so,
Outside of BrainTap, which I believe everyone should use, and I'm hoping you do believe that too.
Yeah.
What do you think, especially for women that you're working with, what do you think is like the first step for them? Because there's going to be a lot of people watching this. At BrainTap, we get a lot of people that are coming in that have never, this is like virgin territory. They've never, when we're here, we think everybody knows this stuff. And we almost think this is so common. but it isn't really. Only about maybe 5 to 10% of the people even know about this.
Yeah.
And for Dave to bring 2,000 to 3,000 people out, it's a big deal.
For sure.
So where do you think is the base, or where do you think the jumping off point for people who are just getting new to it? Because we'll see them, maybe they're in pain, maybe they're super stressed out, maybe their adrenals are failing. Our doctors, we have 4,000 clinics, so they come in because of a problem.
Yeah.
And then hopefully they solve that and they realize, hey, you have this powerful immune system, you have this powerful, basically, your body's designed to heal and improve, so is the brain. Where do you think is a common place to start?
Well, I think you just said it. I think part of it is become aware and be so curious and about what can be done, and trust that your body wants to be healthy.
Yep.
Right? And take those first steps, like prioritize yourself, prioritize your sleep. Make a decision that just because you've done something in a particular way always, be open to the possibility that this isn't the best way to do it. And if it's not working for you, which if you're feeling horrible and sick, clearly it's not working for you, then, start by prioritizing your sleep. Start by looking into even free resources about how can I nourish my body better so that you can start to reclaim your energy a little bit.
Right.
And once you've reclaimed your energy, now you can start to investigate. But I think a big piece of it is knowing that the only person who's going to be able to make yourself healthy is you.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And once you own that, you can find people to accompany you. You can find people who can help you along your journey. But, the fact that we are the CEO of our own health, I think once we accept that, it's empowering and we can step forward and look for those solutions.
I know books like The Blue Zone, one of the things that in longevity is having a community. And there's still a lot of people out there that feel isolated. They've not really integrated back after the last few years of stress. What would you recommend they do? What's an easy step for them to get out into their community or find a community? Because one of my big missions is to tell people, get rid of the drainers in your life and start associated with those gainers, the people that are going somewhere and doing something. The old saying, if you're around 5 alcoholics, you're going to be the 6th. So we want to. What would you recommend they do? Because a lot of people, they have to stretch. Like here last night, we had a costume party, right? Not everybody showed up.
No.
Because it's, that's a stretch for some people. They don't want to play, they don't want to pretend and do those kind of things. So what do you recommend they do? Do you have any strategies or any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think find your touch point, right? So let's say you can join a gym. Then that's going to be a place where you're going to find people who are like-minded. Let's say you want to start eating healthy food. Look in your community and see, is there a cooking class you could join? Like, is there a meditation program you can, find that thing that you believe is your first step that resonates for you. And if it's walking in nature because you spend all your time inside, well, maybe there's a walking club. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It doesn't have to be a big thing. But if it's something that you're taking your first step into better health with, and now you can start to meet other people who have that common first step, that is the first step towards creating that new community around yourself and meeting new people that have a common goal and common way of thinking.
That's awesome. Yeah, we used to train our clients that if you don't have a community, then do it. Find one. Create one, because there are other people just like you. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Somebody's gone through what you're going through right now. Maybe a little different, of course, but we want to start looking, how can we upgrade the vibrations or energy around us by the people we associate with? So in thinking about your community and where you're going, what's going on, where do you see the future of Nathalie? What's happening as the days become weeks and you move on?
That's a really good question. I think Nathalie's just enjoying the ride right now.
Okay.
I think that I'm loving what I love about the podcast is the way that I'm able to meet and connect with people like you. And, we just recently, someone reached out to us about a retreat in a completely different part of the world, right? And so there's that aspect. There's the aspect of coming to events like this and meeting people, and it's so, honestly, it's so validating to meet people who say, hey, I listened to your podcast, I really enjoy it. The retreats, I think, are really amazing touch point. So for me, it's just growing this platform and just doing more of what we do.
We're going to add your platform beneath when we do the story of this, but maybe you can say it out loud. How can people find out more about you and follow you? And because you're bringing in some very interesting people. I mean, when we were in Dallas, you were like the featured podcaster or whatever they call it. You were the interviewer. You were the talent, if you were. And I know I spent some time with you there, but I saw people going in and out. And Mike, my social media guy, said that he didn't know if it was a mistake. There were 30 or 40. So people can, if they can't make these events, you're providing them the information in a really succinct, really powerful way where they can learn it. So how can they learn more?
Yeah, so I mean, the best way to find out everything that I'm doing is to go to my website, which is natniddam.com. And then the podcast is the Biohacking Superhuman Performance Podcast. And then I have a private membership community that I've taken off Facebook just to get away from that kind of machine. And that is the BSP community, but all of that is on the website at natniddam.com. That's and the retreats are there too.
Yeah. So I'm going to encourage you to check out what she's doing. She has some really incredible guests, including me. I've been there. I'm not saying that I'm the most incredible, but there are a lot of great people.
Guest.
Yeah. So we want to share. Part of it is education. You know, like my dad said, he didn't know that he could relax away his alcoholism.
Yeah.
You know, and that little tip, just that one little thing, one night changed the lives of millions of people, because I'm sitting here because my dad went and got help. So if you're the kind of person that's thinking, wow, I don't know if there's any solution for me, it might be on her one of the guests she has in her podcast might give you that one tip, because if we can get one new thought in, I like to tell people, they know a constellation of changes happen in the brain. Your brain has to totally rewire. So, and I know every time you interview somebody, they're going to get one little nugget. It's going to change the way they think about it. And the beautiful thing in this community of biohackers is they're willing to share.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of
100%.
people, they learn something and want to keep it to themselves. So I congratulate you for what you've done. I look forward to watching you and seeing you at events and hearing about everything that's new and learning together. So anything I forgot to ask you about, did you want to share with the BrainTap Nation?
No, I just want to thank you for all that you do, because we're just walking in your footsteps, Dr. Porter. We're just following along here. The man's leading the train.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's great having you.
Thank you for joining us on our mission to better a billion brains. Follow at Dr. Patrick Porter on social media for updates, and remember to practice brain fitness every day.